nice. Yeah, we don't have any of that.
Nope.
We feel really comfy, as prepared as you can be, I suppose. We are back live. Circe Wallace, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I presume you're here to thank me for improving Chaz's diet and exercise regimen in the last
he's
few
really
months.
on one right now.
Both of them.
Isn't he?
Athletic Greens.
He had a heavy detox yesterday.
Oof. I'll tell you what, when you start running hard,
And you're off the vodka?
it's like somehow it's all stored up in there and then it comes out your nose.
Okay, so
That's what I realized.
so what happened?
I mean,
mucus, or what are you talking
So
about?
I've been training hard, right? So again, the overarching thing is to get to fight shape, right?
Correct.
So last time I fought in the octagon, in the ring, was against Richie Vass, the bra boy in Australia, probably 10 plus years ago, 11 years ago now. And the thing I remember most about that time was not throwing my shoulder out of socket when I tried to punch him in the head, but the utter and sheer exhaustion. Have you ever fought? Like not
No.
street fight, but like a boxed or anything?
No.
It is the most tiring thing ever. Like 20 seconds feels like you're going to die. And so I thought this time, as I'm training for the greatest trilogy fight in history, Smith Goggins 3, I better get into fight shape before I start fighting. So I've started running. The other day I thought, I'm going to push it. I'm going to run, left the car at the train station. I'm going to run to the train station and get it. I got there to the train station, thought, okay, I did it. But was so wiped out yesterday, just like,
Yeah, he really
just
was
the aftermath.
struggling.
Yeah, the aftermath. But I'm back on it today.
And he's
How
getting
many-
muscles, so that's good.
You like that? Uh-huh. You're welcome, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far is the train station?
It was 3 miles away. So a
And
3
did
mile.
you sprint it? Like,
Nope.
Okay.
When was the last time you ran 3 miles though?
I actually was running 100 miles a month
Yeah.
for about a year,
Yeah.
Wow.
8 months ago or so. So I was running very, very actively for
Yeah.
a year,
How many miles would you do a day?
4 to 5.
Did you have a route?
Yeah. Yeah. Newport Back Bay. So it was a delightful run, like
Oh, yeah.
plenty to look at. But that was the
A
thing.
lot of
So
Trump flags flying on the air.
exactly. So right about that time too. That's exactly what it was. 4 miles or 5 miles a day adds up to 25 a week. If you're doing 5 days a week, I'd take a day or two off, and that ends up being 100 a month. So my goal was always 100 a month. And some days I would only do a 3 mile run, which meant next day I had to do 6 or 5 or whatever. But yeah, 100 a month.
So what I hear you saying is how weak I have become,
Yes.
how
Yes,
sedentary
exactly.
that 3 miles just took me offline.
You,
Well, it might have
start
had something
somewhere.
to do with the daily
Greens,
pints.
daily
Fix.
green first.
Alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
So are you off the booze too?
I mean, like, that's the
Kind
thing.
of. Him off the booze is like the PG-13 version.
Just one a day, down to one a day or so?
IPAs. So he has this thing with his buddies. They call the Anvil, which is like September?
It
Is it
was,
every September?
it's every January,
And sometime
September, and it's Sandville, Janville, and I can't remember.
There's no other
Manville?
one.
It might be
But the
Manville.
best thing about it is there's all these rules.
It is Manville.
So
Yeah, Manville.
when they're all together, they can drink as much as they want. And then they get what they call burns, which are they get 24 hours. How many burns do you get in the month?
3 a month.
You get 3 a month. So 3 24-hour periods in the month. And then, like if you're on vacation or something, you can actually drink, and then you have to.
It's 2 miles per drink
Oh,
that you have to run.
You can
Yeah.
swim them too.
You can
though,
swim 2
so-
miles or run 2 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, swimming 2 miles is
And-
impossible.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
pretty-
super long swim.
I used
And-
to swim.
You can have one IPA a night.
That doesn't count.
No, because IPAs are gross.
He's tried to explain these rules to me in the past, and I thought he was just making them up on the
No,
fly.
no,
I
no,
didn't
they're
realize these
real.
were like
They're
set
real.
in stone.
But they're pretty funny because then every now and then there's like a new rule.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
To
So
accommodate.
I think I kind of have most of them down now.
That's
but
mostly it. I mean, that's Anvil in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this isn't one of those months.
No, it's not. But the thing is, I realized when you're running and working, like I'm trying to get my Whoop numbers. I'm using Whoop as my only trainer at this point. And so I'm thinking if I can get initially above 10 on the scale, so Whoop runs from a 1 to 21 exertion scale, right? Did you see that Derek put you from David Lee to Kai Lenny?
Yeah. That's fine. I wasn't wearing it for a bit.
Charlie asked last night if the sauna would get his Whoop rate up. But
Yeah.
I told him I don't think so.
But so I'm using it as my
not a
only
correlation of sweat and
Well, it is tracking
heart rate,
heart
right?
rate, body temperature, what else? There is something on the skin, like a perspiration related function.
But anyway, so that's my only personal trainer right now, right? I don't have somebody. So having Whoop tell me more. And so every day I'm trying to ramp it up. And so when you're physically exhausted, drinking doesn't sound so nice.
Right.
Like
It's true. These things all go in hand.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. If you find yourself ever in a yoga class, a hot yoga class, midway through, you notice everything that you ate or ingested in the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I was going pretty frequently to yoga for a while too. And it was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to slack today and have a burrito. 2 days later in yoga class, I could feel the burrito. And I regretted it, and not physically feel it, but like the effects of it, the lethargy that it caused in my body, you know? And the reality is when you're tracking it, all the data, those points become valuable. And it's like, I want to actually do better at this thing. I want to see better results. You start noticing it in your surfing. I want to surf better. And so you make smarter decisions. The best
part for me, what I'm training for is not to look better, not to feel better, not to surf better, is to beat Ashton Goggins in the trilogy fight.
I have a feeling, so this becomes a battle of attrition, like you said. Neither of you guys are trained boxers, like anybody could land a wild punch, anybody could dodge a wild punch. It will come down to attrition.
Fitness. Yep.
And you can outlast him.
I'm going to outlast.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's the most athletic
I don't think
of
it's
contenders.
going to be very hard.
Does he know that this battle royale is coming?
Nope. I mean, he does now just because I keep writing about it. My second piece will go up tomorrow.
As if he's paying attention.
I mean,
I think he stopped paying attention years ago.
I feel like someone will tell him.
He'll hear that the trilogy is in the works. Surf Expo.
His wife, maybe.
Did you see Surf Expo got in? Surf Expo got in to the thing and offered to host the trilogy fight. Yeah.
Really? Who?
Surf Expo. The the Instagram Surf Expo.
Okay.
Whoever runs their official
account. The kid
account.
running the Insta thought this would be a great idea.
Said
until corporation reaches out and is like, remember when we disinvited them last time?
It'd be a good draw, I think.
Yeah. We could get a ring set up in the middle.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I'll come.
So yeah, I like that you're engaged in this whole process. I heard about your defense of your husband at the last encounter with a haberdasher.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
haberdasher.
Haberdasher. Yeah. That was pretty funny.
What was your take on that?
Oh, I was ready to step
up,
yep.
Throw down.
Not afraid.
So what did they insult you? I forget exactly how the interaction came out. Or were you defending chess?
The little mini guy was just like, "Oh, nice hair."
Oh,
I don't
purple hair. Yeah, it was like
you
real
look dumb or something.
Got it.
Yeah, like really came after me, and then I was just like, okay.
So what'd you say?
I said, "Let's go."
And he said,
"You little midget."
Yeah, I think he did get called a little midget.
And then what did he say? Did he just back down at that point?
He was like, he had like spun himself up into a lather so much that it was like, I think somebody was like fake pulling him back, that style, where I think at that point.
I'm not afraid to defend my husband, but it's like his stuff, right? Like I don't get involved.
Right.
I don't even read most of his beach grit stuff, so I have very little visibility on the dramas. But if they're gonna come at me, then I'm gonna, that's what I've always said. Like I'm never looking for a fight, but I'll protect myself.
Yeah. It's always surprising to me, especially on Instagram, watching Instagram I follow accounts like People Getting Mad.
Yeah.
It's literally the name of one of the accounts. And you see it's road rage. It's people confronting skateboarders, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm always surprised at how many people are eager to come up and yell and posture like they're going to fight with zero intention of throwing a punch.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I have zero interest in posturing like I'm going to fight. But if somebody came at me like that,
Then
I'll
you go.
absolutely throw a punch.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
You do whatever you have to do to protect yourself in a situation. And I think that's like, I'm fight or flight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But I don't
it's
get
like-
enraged
Without the intention.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
and so
right.
you see this
It's
happening
triggering, right?
all the time
Like-
with the little haberdasher, like needing to give a piece of his mind to the point of enragement,
Yeah.
but never going to actually relieve the pressure off that valve.
Yeah.
You know? And so what ends up happening on the Instagram videos is the person who's so heated and ultimately just like never going to punch gets KO'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just walk up and they're,
Yeah,
and then
they
some
don't
kid
really,
comes
yeah.
out of the left corner just like, hey, shut up. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So-
Well, I don't really have a penchant for violence, so I'm certainly not looking for it.
But
Enragement
if it
Everyone's
finds
is
so
you,
engagement.
mad. Well, yeah. I mean, I learned that early on, right? Like,
Enragement is engagement.
well, I have a listener line call that actually came in probably a month ago, but it's perfect for you, Circe.
okay.
And then we can explain after this call. Actually, let's explain first why you're here and who you are and what your backstory is, because it'll tee up the call better.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think you guys know who I am. I'm Chaz Smith's wife. Smith's wife. And I am an agent, and I am here because I'm promoting a sports management mastermind that we're doing for our second time with my collaborator, Sue Izzo, also a former sports agent for parents and kids, on October 26th. And in classic self-promotion form, asked if I could come on today to promote the work that we're doing, which I think is really important in helping raise healthy and emotionally intelligent athletes.
So is this an agency? Is it just a one-day class? What
No,
exactly
we're
is it?
actually, it's sportsmanagementmastermind.com. And it's a 4-week class every Tuesday evening starting October 26th.
Got it.
How also to, if you have what you think is a talented child, how to take your child to the next level, right? Like
That's
if you
right.
think
And-
your kid has got the potential to be a sponsored athlete or go to college on scholarship or whatever.
That's
they-
right.
it gives
It's a bit of
tools.
a process and kind of essentially unpacking like what it takes, and also helping kind of establish with the kids, like, is this something that you really want to do? And if you do, here's how you do it. And in addition to what some other things are that you can do in the space or the industry if you're passionate about sports, and specifically really action sports.
Are there any parents, like you just said, if you think your kids are special and talented, are there any parents who don't think their kids are special and talented?
I mean,
Are there any
Yes.
practical parents out there?
I mean, practical to the point of like not supporting their children's hopes and dreams.
Okay.
I mean, I guess my approach to parenting is really like, let's lean into what gives you joy, right?
Right.
And that doesn't always have to be your parents' dream. It's got to be what comes from within. I mean, I've seen so many athletes fail at their potential because they lose heart and they don't find joy in it anymore.
Right.
And I think that that is just a fundamental parenting. Like, we have a duty to our children to make sure that we help them, set them on the path of being fully realized or self-realized in what they find joy in. And I think you see so many kids, you know, come out of college like not really knowing what they want to do with their life, or asking all these questions that really should be asked, you know, at high school age, and ultimately helping determine, you know, how to provide them with resources and information to set them on a path to success.
I'm glad to hear the agent saying these things about happiness. I know you're saying it from the perspective of a parent, but I feel like from viewing the surf world that a lot of the joy is actually stripped away from the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, Chloe Andino, whoever the kid was who I don't know how much they even love surfing anymore because it was just always a business endeavor for them.
Yeah. Well, Kalohe brother, who's going to be a father, I was just at the Wave Ranch with him the other day, which was super fun. He seems like he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he's a bad example for me to pick because I think he does actually enjoy surfing.
I think he does too.
Yeah.
And I mean, based on the waves I saw him catch at Surf Ranch, he looks like he's having a pretty good time.
John Florence loves some surfing too. Did you see it in Derek's Whoop story? How much John surfs a day?
I did not see that in the story, but I am aware of it.
It's crazy. He surfs a crazy amount a day.
Like 8 hours a day.
Yeah, 8 hours a day.
I feel like John's done a really good job of kind of staying in a state of, enjoying what he does.
Yeah.
I think talking about the business side of it, his sponsors kind of understood to let John be John rather than trying to have him hit a bunch of goals that other people had hit that you're trying to live up to. You know, he was allowed to spend a lot of time not surfing, sailing, photography, pursuing all these other interests that I don't know that other people work that into their contracts, you know.
Let's talk about...
Well, there was another parent there with a child whose name I won't mention while I was at the wave pool, who I think is kind of the antithesis of a good parent in helping nurture their child on their trajectory.
By the end of the show, we're going to get that name.
Oh, yeah.
What were you doing there?
I was there on a Red Bull trip. They invited me.
Okay, so it's a Red Bull athlete.
Yep.
We know this. Male or female? See how you just fell right into that answer?
I fell right into that. I'm not really afraid.
I told you.
I have to be, there's some confidentiality measures that need to be in place. So
okay.
We can move on.
Okay. We'll figure this out. We're going to see video footage of that trip shortly, I'm sure. They're going to release it, and then we'll be able to narrow it down.
Yeah, exactly. You can just make up your own mind on that one.
And I would argue that will not bode well for that surfer's career.
I don't think so in terms of long-term happiness, right? I mean, we talked about this last time I was here. There's plenty of athletes that have had, incredible success, but are they happy?
Right.
And, I want to help raise healthy humans. So that's really, why I'm called to this work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, perfect tee up for the listener call. I'm just going to play it off my computer so you don't have to wear headphones.
Do it.
Hey, David. This is Alejandro, longtime listener. I was talking to a surf shop owner today down here in San Diego, and he was talking to me about how he would meet up with Matt Biolis. He was telling him about how all these families and all these kids come and live in San Clemente that are homeschooled all day and just surf, are not getting education. And he's just saying it's crazy because a lot of these kids are not going to make it as pro surfers. And so he goes up to a kid supposedly in front of a surf shop owner I was talking to, and he goes up to a kid and goes, "Hey, what are you doing here right now?" And the kid goes, "Oh, I'm homeschooled." And supposedly Matt Biola says to the kid, "Yeah, you have shitty parents," straight to his face. And so is that out of line? Because I think to myself, yeah, Matt Biola probably sees that all the time. He probably goes crazy. But man, to go up to some kid and tell him to his face, like, yeah, your parents freaking suck. It's pretty wild. So anyways, cheers, mate.
Homeschooling. Barrel or not?
Barrel.
Oh, yeah, barrel.
Really?
I
So
think
Matt Biolis is wrong. Your parents do not suck.
Comes down to the parent.
But here's the thing, though. I think that if your whole goal is in homeschooling, I think it should be education, right? You don't homeschool to skirt education, which I feel that's what a lot of these surf parents are doing. They're homeschooling to get out of education, where in our particular case, we Hemingway, our daughter's getting homeschooled this year, and it's to enhance her education.
How much do you share the education that you are giving our child?
I mean, a tiny bit, but like I try not to be.
I mean,
oversharing.
COVID, Charlie started essentially a school with his besties all dads. There's 8 kids. And it's 2 days a week, full days. And it's like tactile learning, which was really just a counter to online learning in COVID that just then evolved. But I mean, he's doing, building curriculum and like really engaged. So I think, it really comes down to like, are your parents lazy and you just don't like school and they somehow think it's like, if you really have potential and you need that level of flexibility to go pursue something, without the burden of 6 to 8 hour days.
I mean,
in a public school education environment, which I think we really realized in COVID. Like Hemi never liked school, so when you're actually really doing the work and allows for that level of flexibility, I think it's great.
And it was her decision mostly, right? She'd never enjoyed school. And also I think for her, it was just a huge waste of time. Like, however, you're in this classroom context where this teacher, has to teach all the kids and engage with all the kids. She didn't need any socialization stuff. I mean, she's all, has her buddies and whatever, but I think the education was kind of just failing the way she learns. And so being able to rebuild, to learn, to help her just have the best learning. But I totally get Matt's point of if you're taking a kid out of school because education is too difficult, or you don't care about that, you want your kid to surf, then I think you're being a shitty parent.
Well, let's ask Hemingway. We schlepped her here today because she's homeschooled. Do you like being homeschooled? Why?
You have to speak because this is called a podcast.
Yeah, I like it. It's kind of boring sometimes. My eyes get really tired.
Can I ask you if you think you're learning more with homeschooling or with your old school?
You have to go to the microphone.
Which are you learning more in?
I think I'm learning more at homeschool because everybody in my public school was going really too fast, and I wasn't really learning stuff because they were all going way too fast for me. And I just needed something kind of slow so I could kind of figure out math and reading and stuff like that.
She's remedial.
Do you do you miss anything from your old school?
I miss my friends, but yeah, that's all.
You don't get to see them anymore?
Yeah, no, not really. Well, I get to see my best friend Claire, but not that often. And I get to see some of my friends, but I do have more time with homeschool.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're learning at homeschool that you weren't learning in your old school?
Not really. It's kind of just the same stuff.
What about sailing?
Yeah, sailing. I learned
We'll
sailing
talk about
last
bands a
year.
little bit. All the fun stuff you do in bands.
Yeah, bands is super fun, and we have fun activities to do, and PE and everything you wouldn't have at public school.
And you have your friends there, so you get your socialization.
What's bands?
That's Charlie's school.
Oh, okay.
Black Box Academy.
What is it?
Circe is real mad at the name. She thinks it's cancelable. It is the Black Box Academy of Noble Savages.
Which is a racist trope,
It's
and
not.
I insist that
It's
they
not.
change. It is.
It's not.
Okay, we're not going to have this argument here.
Okay,
But
one final thought, though, Hemi.
have to go to the mic.
I know you're doing a lot of ballet now. Would you have enough time for ballet if you were in public school?
No, because I mostly have it in the day, and it goes all the way to 8 sometimes, so I wouldn't have enough time, and I wouldn't be able to do ballet, because I would stay at my old school if I was in public school, which is super bad, but yeah.
Well, you were missing out on seeing your old friends, but are you making new friends at ballet?
I don't really have time to, because I'm really not supposed to talk, because last time I did, my teacher threatened to kick me out.
I used
no
to get
friends
that.
in ballet.
I used to get that threat at school all the time.
She has a phenomenal teacher
Cool.
Miss Simone.
Sweet.
at San Diego Ballet Academy, which we highly recommend.
Good to know. So is 2 days a week enough?
2 days a week enough for school, or then I homeschool the rest of the time. So we do every day.
The group with the other dads and kids.
The group meets 2 days a week.
Got it.
And that's like from 8:30 till 3. And then the other days we all have our own programs with our own kids. So every day is education.
And it's worthy of note that I have nothing to do with any of it.
Really?
Yeah. And I told that to Charlie early on, that I just didn't have bandwidth to take that on. And, public school is like really good baseline learning and daycare. And so Charlie's really stepped up. I married well.
I think daycare is the key there, because a lot of parents, like you were saying, Chaz, they're taking their if they think their kid's going to be a pro surfer, they're taking their kid out of school mainly so they can go surfing.
Yep.
And the homeschooling is just like an afterthought.
It's a tick of the box.
That's right.
Yeah, like we'll do what the state requires of us, but that's it. We really want the kid to be on every good wave that comes through. But the not a lot of parents have that amount of flexibility in their schedule to actually provide the daycare element and the homeschool element.
That's totally true. And it's been a heavy lift for him, the fact that he's continued to be prolific in his work, publishing his most recent title and Beach Grit and everything else. So pretty impressive.
All the listeners who call in every week.
I love you, honey.
All the listeners who call in every week being like, since Chaz doesn't work, how come he blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
They're all eating crow right now.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them are.
It's good to have the wife on every now and then to he really is fully engaged in a really meaningful way in her education. And, I don't know how many of you know this, but Charlie was a 5th grade teacher, although I don't think he was a very good one.
Awful teacher.
And then he
Shackled
also
by the system there, though.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he's a real anti-authoritarian.
I just hear you guys louder.
Oh, well, you can go out there.
No, I don't want.
Okay, well, we're working right now, so
Nobody's out there. You'll have privacy out there.
Just go kick it out there, bro.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
But just the idea of education as getting in the way of surfing to me is absolutely silly. Like you can have both, right? Your kid can surf all day and, go on a great great reading list program, or have them engage their minds too. I think it's just even if they don't want to, it's a massive disservice. And again, Matt Biolos is right. You are a shitty parent if you are not engaging your child's mind, even if they don't want their mind engaged. And it's your job to pull it out.
He is right about that.
And to his credit, that's more of what he sees than what you guys are doing.
Yeah, precisely.
9 out of 10 kids who are coming in there to get free surfboards because they're sponsored are not getting the education that you guys are.
And Matt,
that's right.
And Matt actually cares, right? Matt is, for as many feathers as he ruffles, he's well-read. He's obviously opinionated and everything, but he loves his history. I mean, Matt is a intelligence means something to Matt and something that he pursues.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Second question about that call. Telling a kid that their parents suck. Barrel or not?
Oh man, so barrel.
Is it? I don't know how I feel about that.
I want to yell at every fat kid I see on an e-bike, mowing through everybody.
No fat shaming, but we are looking at a lot of privileged kids, especially in the privileged area that we live in.
Just motoring through people on their e-bikes, right?
It's
pedal your damn bike,
the
kid.
age of individualism is really a problem.
Totally, I agree.
It's my world.
They're not getting any
exercise. And so I will tell those kids, if your kid is chunky and he or she is on an e-bike, you suck as a parent.
Holding a Jack in the Box bag. We were on a trail walk the other day, and I literally just pulled a kind of a Karen move and told the kids on the e-bikes with their Jack in the Box bags that they couldn't pass.
It was.
Really?
Just nope.
Really?
Nope.
It was a Karen move, but they were all little chunkers on e-bikes with Jack in the Box bags. Pedal your dang bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Use your
on
legs.
a walking trail too.
Yeah.
Right?
Strap a whoop band on.
That's the other problem is because I have a bunch of friends who do cycle very seriously, and they complain about there's a lack of etiquette with the e-bikes. Those e-bikes come flying by at 30 miles an hour, not abiding by the rules of the road, essentially.
I mean,
it's pretty
It's super
crazy,
dangerous.
actually. And like when in Encinitas, where we are, and there's like a nice bike trail, and there's like toddlers on
Yeah.
scooters and whatever, and they're literally flying by at 30 miles an hour.
I totally
No helmet.
I love the idea of an e-bike as a motorcycle, right? Use your e-bike. Your e-bike is a motorcycle. It is not a bicycle.
And it's
Ride
great,
it
like
road as a
lower
motorcycle.
carbon emissions. Kids can get around without having parents to drive them. Like, I appreciate those aspects of the freedom that comes with it, especially if it's used for transportation and all
But it's a
those
motorcycle.
things.
It's not a bicycle.
It is.
But telling the kid his parents suck, I think, tell the parents they suck.
Yeah.
Shame the kid adequately for their own misbehavior.
I mean, I would happily yell at some of those e-bike kids and tell them their parents suck.
Really?
Because
Barrel.
they're not, yeah.
All right. All right.
I'm with Matt.
All right.
I love that this person witnessed. This was not a hearsay story, or
Yeah,
was
he
this
was in a
hearsay?
surf shop
He was in
in
a surf
San
shop, and
Diego.
Matt Biolis was there.
That's, yeah.
And then Matt Biolis.
Actually, I think he was saying he was talking to the surf shop owner,
And the surf shop owner was- exactly. So this is okay.
Relayed the story.
I'm going to go back to the source, especially now that Cocaine Cowboy Matt Biolis. For those who haven't seen Matt Biolis's new look,
I'm really glad you got to see him.
Yeah.
was so
I
happy
think
too.
he looks good.
It's
He
fantastic.
looks a little like early Val Kilmer.
He does.
Ooh,
Or
that.
not early, maybe mid.
So at the boardroom show, I was like, "Have you seen Matt?" And you guys are about ready to leave, and you're like, "No, we haven't seen him yet." So I didn't know that you actually ran into him.
We did.
On your way out.
We did.
So I don't disagree. He does look good, but it's almost a caricature of Matt Biolis. His hair was always scruffy. He always had a little 5 o'clock shadow. He always had glasses on. Now the glasses are tinted. The frames are hipper. The hair is extra scruffy.
That's what you do when you turn 50. You got to do these
Don't give
things.
a crap anymore?
No, you
You give a
literally
double
get
crap.
a look. You got to,
Oh,
I got a look going. You got to get a look going.
Why when you turn 50?
Well, 50 and up.
Okay.
I mean, because it's that or what? Like, go get Botox? Like,
Matt
you have
Biolis-
to do other things, right? To like express yourself and feel
He's full
vibrant.
Biolis at this point. He's
Yeah.
leaned into Biolis.
He is peak Biolis.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I like it.
What happens at 60?
I don't know. 60 is the new 50.
Okay.
So, well, ask me then.
Corvette.
Ooh.
Definitely.
Biolis had a look that he would be in a 1970s Corvette Stingray, white.
I mean, that
Yeah.
would be pretty
Agreed.
sexy.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Well, moving on. The longboard tour secretly the jewel of the World Surf League's crown.
So I wrote this sort of somewhat facetiously, but as I was writing it, I was thinking, wait a second. Like, it literally could be. So longboard tour just wrapped in Malibu. Joel Tudor won, becoming the oldest world champion in surf history, beating Kelly Slater to that title. So Joel Tudor is now.
Was that at the wave pool the
Nope,
day before
nope,
I was there?
Nope,
Oh.
this is at
They
Malibu.
had an event there
Yeah.
the day
Yeah.
before you were there.
Yeah, yeah.
And Joel actually faltered in that event. But he had already won a previous event, so he accumulated enough points with his win at Malibu to actually take the.
So he was he didn't just win the Malibu event. He is the longboard 2021 world.
Well, for a curmudgeonly stoner, I feel like that's pretty awesome.
Good on him. So anyhow, though, as I
More
was
on that in a second.
as I was writing it, I thought, well, look at here. The influx of people starting to surf are all on long-ish boards or, like 8-foot wave storms, whatever. They're all surfing more like longboarders. I see out, of course, Cardiff whole zone is a longboardy zone to begin with, but the amount of longboarders is like tenfold now what it was, a few years ago. So there clearly is a boom in longboard participation. It's easier. It's all this stuff, right? How is the World Surf League not leaning in to the tour they have that could fully appeal to that audience? Moreover, I will press Devin Howard again. It doesn't make sense to have two divisions. You have the men v women in longboarding, especially at a place like Malibu, where you throw them all into
I love
one.
that
Now we
idea.
have pure equality, equal prize money, equal waves. Right,
because there's like grace and stuff.
Sure,
Like
it's-
the longer motion and movement that is kind of, I guess, gender fluid, right?
Precisely. Women could do, I think, arguably longboard way more beautifully than men do. And I mean, we had Devin on and talked about it where they could actually compete against each other. I don't know why he's not doing that.
I really love that. That's a great idea.
Sure.
So I talked to Devin 2 days ago.
Yep.
I recorded a podcast, different podcast with Devin, and covered all this stuff. And things are going that way.
Yeah.
Joel still would have won the event.
Of course.
Yeah, and what I was asking him was, yes, the disparity on the shortboarding side is very clear.
Vast.
The judging is geared to support the men's style of surfing in shortboarding, right? So the men go faster, surf more powerfully, more fins-free maneuvers, and that's what the judging is skewed as. So there's a big disparity there. But on the longboarding side, it doesn't support either buddy's physicality,
Right.
you know, like you said, grace is a big element.
Yep.
But in the women's final actually scored higher than the men's final. And so I went back and watched each of the 4 scored waves for the 2 heats. Joel would have won.
Sure.
Despite him having a lower score than what the women posted, he still would have won. He's that much more graceful, you know, and
How big were the waves?
tiny, knee high, knee to waist high. The problem with the Malibu permit, you have to pick the days that you're going to run like a week in advance.
Okay, yeah.
So they're a little bit limited there. But you're not wrong. Saying that it's the crown jewel, and there's a number of factors, and this all kind of came up in the conversation with Devin that I didn't really identify before, but then I saw you write about it, and I'm like, dude, it's very true. They need to lean into it.
There's
And
growth potential there.
here's the reason why. There's a number of reasons why, but the shortboard tour running 9 or 10 events around the world, there's all of this red tape and bureaucracy and all these things that then you then have to do to make those events happen. And all of that strips away what we all love about surfing. The longboard tour doesn't have any of those restraints. So they run 3 events a year, which is a good number.
Yeah.
Like one event isn't enough to really determine who the best surfer in the world is.
Right.
9 events is kind of too many, and it creates a bunch of restrictions. So having 3 allows these people to kind of express themselves, but still, and then the judging criteria is so much simpler because really it comes down to very few elements, nose rides, trim, you know, whatever. And then beyond that, these guys and girls aren't making a living longboarding. So
Right.
They
have day jobs.
They have day jobs. They all have unique personalities because of those things.
Right.
There's a homogeneity in shortboarding
Right.
because everybody's been doing the same thing, trying to achieve this same tiny goal up here for 20 years now. Whereas longboarding, it's like their stories are fascinating. The fact that, I mean, literally, Devin was like, I can name 3 people, 2 on the men's side, 1 on the women's side, who legitimately make a living on a longboard. Everybody else, there's a plumber, there's a house painter, there's whatever. And so Joel, as an example, the fact that you know that he's a curmudgeon, the fact that you know of his, you know, number of bong rips he takes a day, the fact that he has a gold medal from the Pan Am Games in jiu-jitsu, the fact that he's done all these other things
Make him interesting.
make him so much more interesting.
He is interesting. And I think there really is something to that about like working class. I mean,
Yes.
you even look at like the Olympics, and a lot of the athletes there are working class. And, you know, Home Depot has done their big campaign around that.
That's
but
so
the human interests those are the best stories.
I used to watch
right?
those Home Depot commercials and think, there's no way these guys work here. Like, they're Olympians. They're,
Yeah.
you know, et cetera. Then realizing, no, that Home Depot actually gives them jobs. And with big old windows, Home Depot is the home school for Olympic athletes.
There you go.
It is
There you
the
go. It allows
The ultimate exploiter.
But not really. It's giving them like windows to go.
It depends how they manage that.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's the thing is it depends how you manage your athlete. You know, like give John free reign to pursue things other than a world title. Or if you say our ultimate goal is for you to get a world title, well, that means you got to be in the gym 3 hours a day. It means you got to be eating this sort of a way. It doesn't allow them to become interesting.
Right.
It's so true. And not that I like longboarding or find it interesting to watch. I'm not saying I'm a proponent of longboarding here. I'm just saying that it seems like all of the elements in place make it more interesting, potentially, than what the exactly
I would
like you were
watch
saying.
those human interest stories. I could care less about Malibu
Sure.
longboarding championships.
Ride
on
nose,
a
whatever. But
1 foot day. Like,
But I don't know how the World Surf League isn't leaning fully in here, and maybe they are. Maybe they are really doubling down. But like everyone coming into surfing rides a longboard. everyone, like, I mean, it just makes sense.
It's more
to me.
relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know that they were leaning into it previously, but first thing I told Devin when we got on air was congratulations on pulling off a phenomenal
For sure.
season and a couple of events.
Yep.
And I think it comes down to what we kind of talk about all the time, which is Devin's a surfer foremost.
Yep.
Foremost, more than anything, more than what the business interests are, he's going to do the right thing. And he's constantly talking to those athletes, asking what their needs are, how to accommodate, and building the events for them.
Yep.
And so I think at the end, you end up with a better result or a better
Surfer.
final product. Now, Circe, this is where you come in. I also asked Devin, what are the new opportunities available to these recently crowned world champs? Nothing. What are the new earning opportunities available to them? Nobody makes a living doing it. So what would you do for them as an athlete or as an agent? Because I really feel like they are the more interesting people. They're infinitely more marketable. They should each have their own vlog series. Like why are they not? And I don't think they're leveraging their own worth or interest or any of that as well as they could be. But I feel like this is also where an agent can really slip in and be like, let me help you connect the dots.
I mean, it really does come down to storytelling, right? And using, other platforms other than the WSL to tell those stories. And social is really where that all lives. So there is, some onerousness on the athlete or the individual to do some of that storytelling. And if they are capable of that, that's how they really can increase their viability in the market. And from an agent's perspective, we don't ever want to take opportunities from the athletes or the clients that we represent. And it's like a formula, right? You can, from a development perspective, you only want to develop talent that you can really help increase their bottom line, because that's how we get paid. And so that's a tough one because there isn't not some huge trajectory, and a longboard surfer takes just as much time to manage as a shortboard surfer, but the resources and opportunity are pretty limited. So it really comes down to who are the athletes or the surfers who actually are capable of having a kind of 360-degree career and lean into the platforms that are available to them to create more visibility. Because, that's where brands look at, if you have a bigger reach because of the storytelling that you're doing, on your own social or with some of your brand partners, your value is increased.
I'm not sure that non-endemic brands like big corporate sponsors know the difference between shortboarding and longboarding. They're looking at a lifestyle of surfing probably. And so the women's world champ is Honolulu Bloomfield.
Great name too.
She's from Hawaii.
Yeah.
She's beautiful. She lives in a beautiful place. And I could see her being so marketable. And given that she's a longboarder, you're actually not competing with a bunch of other athletes. Like a shortboarder, I don't know, I feel like, they're a dime a dozen, and, you got to figure out the angle to market them. Honolulu can just come in and own the category if she really figured out a plan.
Does she not have representation, you don't think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because I think that longboard landscape was just not that equitable, there wasn't that much money in it. But I think everybody's just looking at it wrong. Because I feel like through this event or this season, I'm just thinking, man, this is infinitely more marketable and interesting.
Yeah, it's really hard when you don't have real endemic support, right?
Which they don't.
And that's where it's got to kind of start there.
Yeah.
Because that's where it all lives and breathes.
Who are the big longboard shapers?
Surfboard shapers?
Yeah. Are they still the same? Is it just like Yater and?
Oh no. So Yater still shapes. Tyler Hatzikian out of the South Bay is a younger generation and killing it. Wayne Rich.
So there's a bunch of, but
who
they're.
does Bloomfield surf for? Does she have a?
I don't know if she even has a clothing sponsor. So there are shapers. She gets her boards from Wayne Rich.
Yeah.
But they're
The margins
that's
on
not
that's gotta be.
scalable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But there aren't specific longboard, like there used to be Oxbow,
Yeah.
you know, and things like that. Toes
I'm
on the
surprised
nose.
that like with the growth of longboarding, which you just raised, that more of the endemic brands like Roxy or Billabong Women's or
I
whatever
think Roxy does support it a little bit.
aren't actually like doing some of the storytelling,
Yeah.
and celebrating these beautiful women. Like that's really where I think, you know, there's got to be some data to support an investment, right? But they have the data,
Yeah.
so maybe it's not what we think it is, right? In terms of potential, but also they could just be not paying attention.
I think the potential's fully underdeveloped is what I'm kind of identifying. And it was because the tour was like a one event tour for a number of years. So there was nothing to really coalesce around.
Right.
And so the brands did have a couple of athletes, like Roxy does have a couple of athletes, but I think they were giving them very minimal support. And so it was kind of up to the athlete to really take that and run with it. And I haven't seen a longboard athlete really do that yet. But I think like the timing is so right, you know?
Yeah. And I think too, like
Valpocalypse.
and when we come out of COVID, like experiential, like Malibu Longboard Championship should have been like a 2-day festival with music artists and, you know, experiences and all those
I mean,
things.
it's basically like the duct tape, though. That's what Joel Tudor, right, made his own tour-ish that was festival-like around longboarding, which the WSL could do, too. It's not like that's proprietary. I mean, good on Joel for making the duct tape. But
no, I mean, you can sell it. It could be a ticketed event.
Sure.
And then you provide additional value to your partners and you make it an experience, not just a contest.
Yeah. This relates to any and all of your athletes, but if you were to get Honolulu some giant contract, money starts rolling in, do you advise on what to do with that money?
Well, I'm not a financial advisor. I could certainly help put her, you know, make some referrals, but we really try to stay away from that because it gets messy. I certainly would advise that she kind of reinvest it into, you know, building a content pipeline that then would create, you know, some passive revenue and, you know, evergreen kind of opportunities.
Good.
evergreen opportunities.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's all about storytelling, right?
Yep.
You guys know that. That's
Yep.
what you do all day long.
One of the biggest, strangely, the most controversial stories that came across my social media feed this last week or two was the cover shot of the Surfer's Journal this month.
Oh,
Have you guys seen it?
No, I didn't even hear. I wasn't even abreast of this controversy.
I should have brought it. It's Nathan Fletcher's insanely high straight air at Pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see this?
I've seen a
You've
photo
seen
of that air.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an insane image. It's an insane air. Nathan Fletcher is like breaking new boundaries in his mid 40s. That's pretty incredible. The controversy was from all of our listeners saying you cannot publish a cover shot where the guy doesn't land the trick.
That's true.
It was a flyaway air.
Yep.
So it was at Pipe and he lands out the back and we've all seen video of it. It happened last year. So all the video has been out there for a long time. And then this month the cover comes out. What are your thoughts on publishing not only a photo, but a cover shot?
Circe
without
has
landing?
a real specific one here.
I mean, that's just like, you know, a known rule.
It's a known rule in skating and snow.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Nathan is an incredible talent and I love him. So whatever shine he gets, I'm all for it.
Would Nathan be okay with this? Would Nathan even advocate to be on the cover, knowing he didn't land that air?
That's a really good question. We should ask him. Can we text him?
You can. I don't know his number. So I feel like those rules were set in skate and snow.
Yeah.
Do they apply to surf?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
I think it really is code of honor there. Like we have lost so much of, you know, of course, like things just fade away like this, but there is a real code of honor, I think, still. And that's probably like in terms of media is baseline. Photos don't go up unless they're stuck or covers. I mean,
so then the question becomes, who's running the Surfer's Journal at this point and how did this happen? Because the reality is you don't have to work in surf media to know that rule. I'm telling you, I got dozens of messages from people going, this is a sham. Like, I'm calling into question the credibility of the surfer. The Surfer's Journal is like, the sacred cow. You can't say anything bad about them.
Yeah.
Right.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm sure they probably discussed it.
Don't know that they did.
Who's running it?
I have to think
It's
it was.
they have a new editor.
Right.
I can't remember his name, but he was a hand pick from Scott Hewlett.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also, if you came in to surfing, I can't remember who the editor is, but if you came in and had no kind of...
But think of all the people that actually looked at it and helped do the layout and all of that. For sure, at some point, someone was like, hey...
Unless they, I mean, if they wanted to, like, bash the sacred rule. But it's weird for the Surfer's Journal to be doing that. Like, Surfer's Journal is not the one to... Wouldn't be typically, which is probably why people are mad. Surfer's Journal is the, like... kind of old gold standard.
Exactly.
Not the progressive, hey man, we're the new Thrasher. We're going to publish throwaways now.
Right.
Yeah, that's not the Surfer's Journal's voice typically. So if they did it on purpose, that's weird. If they did it accidentally, that's weird. I'm going to get to the bottom of this for us here.
Please do.
Yeah.
I would like that you do.
Cool.
Because I feel like it was I'm worried that it's a harbinger of what's to come with the Surfer's Journal. You know what I mean? Where there are certain rites of passage. There are certain old kind of standards that are worth maintaining. That isn't one that's worth going down a path of progression and throwing away the old rules. Like, no, this is a rule that we should stick to.
I wonder if
that rule is aligned with progression,
there you
right?
go.
That is what keeps us in line, that you don't get to celebrate something unless you complete it.
You don't get to celebrate it if it's phony.
Yeah. And I don't think, in that particular instance, it is someone who is doing really innovative things, as you said, in his 40s. And I appreciate that they are celebrating him in all of the innovation that he is doing. But you're right.
We all celebrated the video a year ago when it came out.
Right.
We didn't need a cover shot of.
I wonder if the Journal would argue that our covers are art pieces, not, we are not actually a magazine. We are a coffee table book kind of art piece, and we've done all kinds of things on our covers, from,
I don't accept it.
Endless amount of,
capturing moments.
Sure. And this was a surf moment that we wanted to capture. I don't buy it either. Yeah. I'm trying to
I know.
justify.
It's hard to justify.
Yeah.
I've looked at it from every angle too.
Yeah.
It's hard to justify.
Well, I'm going to get to the bottom. I'm going to talk to Scott Hewlett, the ex-editor.
Please do. And then it is worth noting, though, that cover came out 30 years on the 30-year anniversary of his very first cover with the Surfer's Journal when he was 12 years old.
Mm.
Yeah, well, so there's a little backstory there.
Sure, but you get another picture.
Stomp it. You would have earned it if you would have stomped it.
Sorry, Nathan.
But I'm saying, I don't think Nathan would argue that should have made the cover. You know what I mean?
I think you should ask him.
He's probably happy that it did, and there is an element of validation that it did, but I don't think that he would have advocated for it if he was
for sure not. He knows the rules.
Exactly.
But he's also 40s, so hey, we all just want to be seen, right?
I don't know.
Can't be mad at it.
I don't know. I don't know his philosophy. Chaz, should we go to commercial and give some love to our sponsors?
Let's do it.
All right. Today's episode is brought to you by Whoop, Chaz.
Whoop 4.0 has changed my life, David Lee.
I mean, we talked about it organically, but let's give them their full love now. If listeners use the promo code SURF, not only do they get the free Whoop 4.0 strap, they get 15% off their membership.
It's a great deal.
First of all, John Florence and Nathan Florence are using it. So I don't know what else. I mean, that's good enough for me.
If it's good enough for John, it's good enough for me.
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
My sleep efficiency last night, 90%.
Good job.
I feel like I'm storing it up before the baby comes.
Good
Great
idea.
job.
It's like my body just knows.
Great idea.
Yep.
What's your recovery looking like?
Today is an active day. I'm
Nice.
supposed to be active today. I just closed my phone, so I can't access it now.
Great.
But I'm going to surf after this.
It looks
partially
fun out there.
because of that. Yeah, the waves are pretty good. So here's the deal. It is the most advanced fitness wearable on the market. It goes on your wrist. Cool thing about it is there's no annoying notifications. There's no screen. There's no buttons. It's super sleek, so sleek, in fact, that it fits under your wetsuit sleeve, but it's tracking data 24/7 while you sleep, while you exert yourself, all of that. And it's sending it to the app on your phone. So when you actually want to get that information, it's right there on your phone. And it's so detailed that you could share it with your physician, your trainer, your PT, a coach, and it's important vitals about your overall health.
It's the app itself. I mean, the strap, easy. Don't have to worry about it. Put it on. Don't think about it. The app is very, very easy to navigate for someone who doesn't enjoy new technologies.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
So that's the key, is that, like you said, it's not annoying on your wrist. It's just collecting constantly. And then when you want the info, it's right there.
Easy.
So whoop.com, that's WHOOP.com. The promo code is the word surf. You get the 4.0 strap for free and 15% off your membership.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right, we are back. I've got another listener line call if you're interested, real quick.
Hi, Dave. This is Frank, longtime listener to several of your podcasts. I appreciate them. You've mentioned on both Spit and the Grit recently about your frustration with, and you find it comical that they're using these ordinary cleaning products. And you find it kind of absurd that that's the technology that they're using to clean up these oil spills. And I believe Chaz did kind of respond to you too, but I just wanted to say, a couple things. That just is how you do it. Actually, as crazy as it sounds, the technology to clean an oily bird is basically gloves and Dawn dish soap, and that's just how you do it. There isn't actually a better way to do it. Chaz mentioned the idea that oil companies should be spending money. They should be forced to spend money to develop better technology, and then that has been something that they have avoided for decades now. Another conclusion too is that's why oil spills are so harmful, and that's why we should all be so concerned and really putting our energies towards getting ourselves off fossil fuels and getting these oil rigs away. The spill in Santa Barbara there in the late 1960s was devastating, and all the spills that we've had since then, you're right. There's just this kind of clumsy technology of people with gloves and some paper towels trying to clean it up. It's not that that it's that really silly. It's these people really know what they're doing. They're experts, and for the most part, and they're training volunteers to do it, and that's just how you do it. That's how you clean these things up. Anyway, I look forward to hearing a little bit more about this issue in the coming weeks, and I really wish all the best for Huntington Beach and the wildlife there and the people that enjoy the beach. Have a good day.
He's making my point for me. Yep. It's fantastic that Dawn created a versatile enough product to clean my dishes and a duck, but there's got to be a better, with the proper, imagine if cleaning ducks was profitable.
Yeah.
They would have vacuums, lasers, everything. Like Johnson & Johnson makes thousands of products to clean your own hair. If you have curly hair, they have this product. If you have red hair, they have that product. And the best way to clean a duck is Dawn dish soap is absurd.
Yeah.
Again, kudos to Dawn, but
I mean, it did make me think what an epic invention Dawn is. The fact that Dawn is that versatile is pretty good.
But it's not the best product for the duck.
Of course not. I mean,
it's just the best one that we have available because there's no profit in cleaning ducks.
I mean, the problem is so much bigger than that. I mean, we just have to completely divest, and we need to do it now. And I mean, offshore oil rigs are going to continue to break down, and it's going to be our entire coastline is going to be devastated if we don't start actually really pushing towards a new Green Deal or real innovation in technologies. I mean, you saw that Biden's trying to build offshore wind farms.
But those have a bunch of problems too, right? Don't those chop up migrating birds and whatnot?
No, the fishermen, I think, are worried, and environmental impact for sure when you're drilling into seabed and all that. But, I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than pumping offshore oil. I mean, it's just a matter. It's not, it's not a matter of.
Yeah.
I like clean coal. I'm a clean coal man.
It's
Are
just
you?
when.
Clean coal is.
Is that such a thing?
They call it clean coal now, but I literally think it's coal, and they just stuck the word clean on it, and maybe they put like a new filter on the smokestack. That's it. But you call it clean coal, and it's all cool. I'm just gonna start calling it clean oil. I love clean oil.
Well,
we need to divest from AT&T and all of these companies that continue to fund.
Yeah.
Clean oil.
Clean oil. Yeah. There is no such thing. But I really appreciate his perspective, which is like, you just do whatever works, right? And as long as we continue to have these problems, you do what works.
It's just crazy that it's volunteers using Dawn and paper towels to clean it up.
If we continue to try to think that big oil is going to have any level of accountability for anything ever, then we're all out to lunch.
Do you remember Thank You for Smoking?
Yeah.
The Merchants of Death, they should all share who cleans up what. So Big Tobacco should clean up oil spills. Big Oil can solve lung cancer or sort out those things. And
so I feel like if you just undid a cigarette and sprinkled the tobacco leaves on the oil,
that
it
might
would
work.
create kind of like, and then you scoop off the tobacco leaves, right?
And then you
just raw tobacco leaves might
there you
work
go.
great.
I mean, even though
better than a paper towel.
Like instead of lungs.
But then you could resell it as a cigarette. Cigarettes already have tar in it. Who cares?
There
right?
you go. Man.
It's win-win.
We've somehow.
But isn't the tar created from the combustion?
We're gonna.
Yes.
Now you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
We've already got.
You got tar.
we went over to the dark side real quick in this phone call. Now we're the ones designing new harmful products. Somebody else emailed and said, I'm a hazmat specialist for our fire department, and I wanted to give you a little more info about the oil cleanups that you had questions about. The sad thing is that when we do cleanups on a smaller scale, for us, we use absorbent kitty litter and water and then send the absorbent to a professional cleanup warehouse. But Chaz is right. The chemicals used to break down the oils can actually be worse for the waterways and the environment. So then you got to consider that too.
I think that,
all a mess.
The whole dispersant thing, I think everybody was spraying it everywhere for a while, right? I think they thought, we break up the oil and then we win. And then they realize, what we just sprayed on all the oil is worse than all the oil.
Let's be honest, we're all just screwed, so.
It's true.
Yep.
Well, as it relates to that, there's a couple of news stories. Bonsai Surf School is suing the oil company because obviously they weren't allowed to run surf classes in Huntington Beach.
For them.
The silver lining to all of this.
No surf schools.
No. Well, there's another. Now there's another one. This is even better than that. It's an extension of that. The valves are gone.
Yeah.
The waves were pumping yesterday.
Did you surf?
I mean, how bad is it?
It's not.
No, so it's
There's
open
no more
now.
oil.
The oil is visibly gone anyways.
Right.
But the waves yesterday, combo swell, head high, good surf up and down the beach. Nobody around. Nobody around.
All right, let's go
epic. Huntington.
get some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Hazmat.
Yep. Well, as usual, we close out the show with Barrel or Nah. But before we do, I have a weekly game where I ask Chaz if he's watched the Val documentary yet. Val Kilmer came up in conversation earlier today, so it's relevant.
Guess who got so enraged by HBO that I refuse to get it now?
Well, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I'm watching.
and apparently AT&T owns HBO, so
Watching.
I just found that out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Divest.
So David Lee has been pressing me, not pressing, just asking.
No, you the one who brought it up originally.
Yeah.
Months ago, you're like, the new Val documentary is coming out. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
So now I just ask if you watched it, and he just won't watch it.
I still haven't watched it. Have you?
What is it?
It's a documentary on Val Kilmer. It's supposed to be really good.
Oh, I did see it. Yeah.
Did you watch it though?
Nope.
No. Okay, I'll watch it tonight.
That's what he says every single time. So why aren't you watching HBO?
I got so enraged that they kicked over to HBO Max.
It's
where
like
now
a
it's
new
like
subscription.
It's
or
like
whatever.
so somehow the old HBO subscription expired, which was there's a new one now that's a way upcharge, like way above what it used to be, I feel. And it's all, I'm just like, I've had enough. I've had enough with like cutting the cord was fun for a minute and then experimenting with my different grab bag. And now it's ridiculous. I'm cutting them all. I'm over them all.
So mine transitioned over to HBO Max without any surcharge.
Really?
Yeah.
You sure about it? Are you sure you're not getting like a 6 month? Because we had that too for a minute. We had it transition into HBO Max, and I was like, we were having our cake and eating it too, and then it all went dark. No HBO, no HBO Max.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, how are you going to watch Succession?
So I'm not. That's what I'm standing on principle.
I think we can probably just buy it after the fact, can't we?
Probably.
I'm standing
Like
on
iTunes or
principle
something.
until then.
Yeah.
Hulu does like Huluween.
Yeah.
Where they put all their Halloween. Peacock, literally, it's not a joke, is doing Peacocktober.
Peacocktober is really, that's okay. Peacocktober. I kind of like better than Halloween, to be honest.
I mean, it's funny.
It is funny.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
I know, isn't that funny?
Good job, Peacock.
Yeah. Circe, should men wear shorts in public?
Oh, I'm okay with shorts in public, especially in Denmark where they have like really cool tattoos right at the short line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
This has been the most controversial stance in
really is.
the Grits 5-year history. Is telling men.
I
not
love
to wear
being
shorts in
with
public.
my husband and people coming up to us and being like, I wore pants today because I thought I might see you, and I really didn't want to get caught wearing some shorts.
Yep.
As
But
they
yeah, I
should.
think it's fine. I mean,
It's not.
It's
depends
weird.
on
I
your
haven't seen-
legs.
You're not wrong often. It's weird to see you be wrong right now.
You know who wears shorts in public? Which men? Men who like to molest children wear shorts in public.
Oh man, come on.
You just stimulated
Just
a
one
whole bunch
step
of new
too
calls.
far.
A
One
whole
step
bunch of
too
new listener
far.
line calls.
The fat shaming was one thing, but the short shaming is a whole nother thing.
Short shame. I'm a short shamer.
Okay, what if it's a
Standing
chubby
behind it.
kid on an e-bike wearing shorts, carrying Jack in the
It's
Box?
okay
Yeah,
if it's a
yeah,
kid. That's
canceled.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is shorts are okay on kids. He's not canceled for that. He'd get canceled for the e-bike
And
Jack
the
in the Box.
But Charlie likes Jack in the Box, so maybe just the e-bike
Yeah, that's the only
and
thing.
being chunky.
And being
This
chunky.
is like the anvil. There's all these rules that are. It's Shortstober. We're allowed to wear it when it's a warm day. But not. Okay, so our first barrel or nah, Dave Chappelle.
I haven't watched it, so I'm gonna have to say I reserve until I actually.
I'm Barrel.
So barrel.
I'm Big Barrel. Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle is not wrong.
I heard it wasn't very funny.
It was hilarious.
Okay,
Hilarious.
All
I mean,
right.
do you like Dave Chappelle in general?
I have historically, but
Okay.
I do think he's kind of lost his mojo. And like his like broing down with Joe Rogan is weird, and
So
I haven't watched this one either. We
he
have
like
to watch.
lives in
but
Ohio and hangs out with like Elon Musk or something.
he lives in like a super small town, apparently.
Yeah, it's all white town in Ohio. So.
Yeah, and that becomes part of the routine as well. But I see what you're saying. He lost his mojo. His jokes aren't as snappy and quick and all that sort of stuff. He's way deeper now. And it's like very philosophical and it's but it's funnier because of that. Like he's in a place in comedy right now that very few comedians ever get to.
Yeah.
Or people don't even have the intelligence to get there. People don't have the clout to get there. So, I mean, he walked away from the $50 million deal, 10, 15 years ago, whatever it was with Comedy Central.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
Everyone said he was smoking crack or something, and
Yeah.
that wasn't true, which he then shared. And then the Netflix.
So he went away for
drama,
10 years.
Right.
Then Netflix brought him back they were going to do 3 deals. They offered, 3 shows for $150 million. So it's $50 million per special, right? And this is the third. And on the second special, he got in a bunch of hot water for saying controversial things about a number of people, but the trans community was what the hottest water was about. So in this third one, he comes back, and the reason why he's in the news now is he doubled down on the trans conversation. But my problem with the cancellation or attempted cancellation of him is they are missing the point entirely. If you watch it, if you listen to him, nothing that he said was even controversial.
Yeah.
It was all very, first of all, his experience going through life, dealing with these things. And also, this person was a hypocrite at this time. Here's the exact scenario. Here's them being a hypocrite. Everybody jumps in and goes, hey, that person's trans. You're not allowed to make fun of him. And he goes, that's a human being that I'm making fun of. You're the one who's putting this label on it and then creating some special, scenario where
Untouchable category.
you're the one creating the boundary lines.
Right.
I don't see the boundary lines. I'm treating this person like a person and they were a hypocrite at the time,
Yeah.
So a lot of it is based in that. And there's comedy that punctuates all of it.
Right.
But he's saying things that nobody else says. That is, I feel like, again, he's in a whole different category.
Well,
And
I think just even opening up the debate is important on these issues, right? Like the idea of like censorship and cancel culture not allowing for discourse and conversation is a really big problem.
Huge.
For us
And
societally.
he's addressing all that.
Yeah, and so I think I probably enjoy it on some level. And he's using his medium, right, for kind of public commentary
He's
about
doing
some of
exactly.
these social issues, which
Public-
I think isn't and clearly it struck a chord because it's all over the press. I mean, I read that.
I'm excited to watch it.
It's
Yeah.
doing exactly what you just said. It's actually identifying this huge problem, stepping on the grenade, making jokes along the way, and saying, I'm willing to take this shrapnel,
Just so
I
we can have
just-
a conversation.
Yes,
The lack of
yes.
conversation is
Right.
so
Which I think is
obnoxious.
beautiful, to be honest, like as long as we're talking about stuff. But I also think like if we took all the energy towards these societal issues and put it towards things that we really need to solve, like offshore oil drilling and oil all over our beaches, I think it's like misdirected anger a lot of the time, because I don't really think that David LaChapelle is like
Different-
transphobic.
David LaChapelle.
David
What-
LaChapelle, the photographer.
Sorry, I always do that. I always do
Yeah,
that.
he's a good photographer.
Yeah, he really.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, but
Was.
I think he got canceled too. So, but I don't really think that he is transphobic.
No,
I think
clearly
it is kind of misdirected anger about a lot of other stuff.
The way that he engineers this whole conversation makes it so that if you actually were to call him transphobic or try to cancel him, you fall into the trap, because he's pointing it right back at you, going, you guys are the ones who have zero sensitivity or sympathy for my shortcomings.
Yeah.
And by the way, they weren't shortcomings. Here's what really happened in that scenario.
Right.
But by virtue of you canceling me, you have zero sympathy or tolerance for somebody who is different, sees things differently than the way that you see them.
Well, we
had an elaborate.
We had a friend over for dinner last night, and her comment was that he is worried. He's way too much worried about what the Twitter kids are saying.
That Chappelle is too focused on what Twitter kids are saying, as opposed to, I haven't seen it yet, so I gotta
He
watch
specifically
it.
says he doesn't care about Twitter, and Twitter isn't a real place, so he doesn't care about it. That's what he said.
But I think he's actually reading whatever.
Maybe.
Like he's not actually tuning that out. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
pretty
know.
interesting. He does say at the very end of it, I will never talk about any of this stuff again.
Right.
To your point about putting energy into it,
Yeah.
he was like, I'm going to address this once for $50 million.
Yeah.
and
I mean, the
and
thing
I'll
is
never address it
He
again.
doesn't
Right.
breathe the same air as us, right?
Yeah.
Like he's on a whole nother level. So really, I mean, as an artist, he should have, the freedom to have those kinds of conversations.
and just
while
the-
we sit and listen, and he makes millions and millions of dollars. And obviously, it's we're all going to watch it, so we can have an opinion about
Yeah.
it, right? So,
But the sensitivity, right? Like, I get it. I get that. But the feeling like sensitivity is the peak end thing to care about. Like, did you see,
Right.
I put it on
well,
Beach
especially
Grit.
from a comedian.
Sure.
Yeah,
But did you see the Jonah Hill thing today?
No.
So I put it on Beach Grit. Great.
His post.
His post.
Thank you for addressing it.
Which is all fine and good, right? It's overly sensitive, but fine and good. What I addressed is, so Sharon Stone gets in his comments. So Jonah Hill, for those who didn't know, posted, could you please stop talking about my body, good or bad? It doesn't make me feel good. Thank you, something, right? Like,
It's not helpful. It
it's
doesn't
not
make me
helpful, whatever. And so he was saying, I think it was in reference to Us Weekly, had a picture of him like that was complimentary maybe. And he was saying like, look, when, just don't talk about my body at all, full stop. Fine. Okay. I get it. Even though you're in the public eye and, you get your money from people looking at you, et cetera, it seems a little bit disingenuous to ask people not to talk about you. Not only that, it seems extra sensitive. I'm not going to address that, whatever. Sharon Stone went in there and said, can I just say you look good or something? People like lost their minds on, no, shut up, boomer, Reed, what are you saying? Like people, the vitriol, like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Jonah Hill's being a big baby,
Totally.
Fine, let him be a big baby. But don't all hop in on the 63-year-old woman who's like, can I say you look good? No, we're not allowed to say that anymore. Like, shut up.
The problem with all of it is that the retribution far supersedes the offense.
Yeah.
With cancel culture in general. You know what I mean? It's like the offense of Sharon Stone saying something like that. It's a minor offense.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You
Totally
didn't want
minor.
me to. You don't want.
I don't
me to
even
say
think
that
it's
anymore.
offensive, but
Obviously.
it's a minor offense.
To him.
Piling on and attacking somebody like that is way worse than the offense.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Well,
totally
and there's no
insane.
opportunity for like any like personal growth or
Exactly.
to come out and say, hey, I said something 10 years ago, like Terrier getting canceled from Burton,
That was a big story.
where it's just like, come on, like
Yeah.
we all have to level up here and to just, stop talking to people or canceling them is not how we up-level our collective consciousness.
Totally.
I mean, it's insane. That's like, if you offend my sensitivity, then I will burn you to the ground and I will burn your family to the ground. That's it.
It's like
I'm
censorship.
sensitive about this.
And that
You're all
scares
gonna
me
die.
as much as
Exactly.
anything.
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
Freaky
So back to Dave Chappelle real quick.
David LaChapelle.
David LaChapelle.
Correct. So we can all say, oh yeah, $50 million, that's why he's doing this or whatever. But what actually adds kind of credibility to it is that he walked away from $50 million 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So him being able to say, it's not actually about the money. Of course, I'm going to charge appropriately. If somebody wants my work, that's what I'm doing here. But it's not about the $50 million. I proved to all you guys 10 years ago that I walked away from it. The other thing that makes it really poignant and I think adds gravity to it was the kind of end of the special is all centered around him hiring a trans comedian 15 years ago to do an opening act for him and the development of that relationship. And so it's not a new thing that he is analyzing, addressing, commenting on. It's something
It's
that
informed from experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
Barrel.
I highly encourage it. I'm a big fan.
Val's not getting watched tonight then. Chappelle's getting watched.
Put Val on for tomorrow. All right. My final two barrel or Nas are less controversial and they are specifically related to my impending fatherhood. Number one, looking into the abyss during birth and labor. So this has been a hot topic with my male friends who have gone through being there for the childbirth. Some of them are like, stay back at Lauren's shoulder and be supportive there. Other guys are like, nope, go around and watch this miracle of life happening. And the argument against that is ruin some of the romance.
Oh my
unquote.
God.
So what do
You should fire and cancel every friend you have that says such a thing.
So you say, yes, look into the
I mean,
into the
to
portal.
suggest that watching your baby actually come into the world might make you feel differently about your woman's vagina is deeply offensive. And that is an absurd perspective. And if you need therapy, if that is a problem for you.
You're being insensitive to the male who felt that way.
It's true.
He's entitled to his feelings. If he felt that way.
I'm just saying you need to go unpack that in a room with the therapist because it is like otherworldly, right? How many times in your life are you actually, and for you at your advanced paternal age.
How is this turning on me? I'm not the one who advocated for
You're
it.
only going to have,
I got
one or
babies for a long time.
maybe a couple of them, but to deny yourself that experience, which is otherworldly and has nothing to do with your vagina heals nicely. And as I'm sure my husband can attest, works perfectly fine and has not affected romance.
Yeah, hasn't affected romance.
Did you look into the portal of life?
He did.
Grabbed Hemi's head and tried to pull it out.
you?
Yeah,
Really?
he caught her. Yeah, and we had a home birth, so he was very there.
Very interactive.
Yeah, the midwife made me go around and try to yank her out, but it's really, talk about sensitive. Like, I didn't know, like, you're squishing this little thing's head. Like, I thought, I'm going to crush her brains.
Right.
So I caught her, but let the midwife pull her.
It's so
They're not
radical. It's so radical that I highly suggest that you take everything you can from that experience. And
Don't film it, though.
don't
no, I
film
wouldn't.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to podcast it.
Yeah.
No one wants to watch that on replay, but
Well, you want to be in the moment anyway.
you do.
Yeah. Well, so full disclosure, I'm on your side, and I was fully committed to, being a part of that process and not shying away from it.
Yeah.
Strictly because it's a freaking miracle. It's
But
like
you should
it's
also
such
do
a
whatever
rarity.
feels right in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, no one's going to judge you for doing whatever if
I
you
agree.
feel like you should be there with her because that is what
She
she
needs,
needs, then that's what you do, right? And I think it's totally okay whatever you choose based on what feels right for you.
Yeah.
But
But I do want to witness it.
it's pretty cool.
Just because it's such a unique experience that is, again, something, this life form coming from ultimately a different universe through this portal is insane to me.
There's so few real surprises left in the world in our lifetimes. And this is just you get to meet in that moment
I'm in.
Yeah.
a human you created. It's totally radical.
Cool.
And the child will
I'm so
forever love
excited
you
for
more
you.
than
Thank you.
child will forever love you more than they love their mother, just like my daughter loves me.
Hemi, who do you love more? Yeah.
Oh, wrong again. Dang it.
It's weird that they were both wrong so much. Cool. I'm all in for that. Final barrel or not. Buddy DM'd me and he's like, hey, have you picked out the playlist for what you're going to listen to on the drive home from the hospital? I was like, no. He's like, well, my daughter, when the drive home, she was listening to like Kiss FM, or like my wife had Kiss FM on for that drive. My son, I forget what he listened to. It might have been Neil Young. He gave me something very specific. He goes, and to this day, my son has way better taste in music than my daughter has. And he's convinced
That
that
it was
it's
from
not
the
a
playlist.
coincidence. It was, and I'm like, well, an argument could be made that my baby is hearing music in utero, and maybe it's muffled, whatever, but they're still hearing stuff. He goes, nope, it happens in the car ride home. So, barrel or nah, curating a playlist for my baby's drive home.
I'm going to go barrel. I'm going to say that music does frame so much of our lives, and to leave it to chance, to leave it to a disc jockey, unless you're going to be listening to KUSC.com. I mean, I guess it is .com. KUSC classical music. Like if you got classical radio, great. Otherwise, I would not trust a DJ with the precious ears of your newborn man.
It's a lot of risk.
Yeah.
Well, there are all kinds of studies that music in utero, specifically classical, helps with brain development. So why not?
What are you thinking about for the playlist?
Well, first of all, let's break this down real quick. You said don't leave it to the DJ's chance unless it's classical.
Yeah.
There's DJs who are classical DJs right now who are yelling at you because their classical selections are better than another classical's DJ selection. So it's not enough to just say classical. It's too vague. I used to work in the wine business, and there's biodynamic farming, and there's all these rules that come with biodynamics. And part of it is that you play music to the vines, but it's not any music, and it is classical, but it's not just classical. It's specifically Baroque classical.
Did you know this? That you had to play music to the biodynamic
I didn't know
vines?
it was Baroque classical, but
So-
yes, I knew that was a big part. That actually is in cannabis cultivation too. There's certain music.
I wonder what cannabis likes.
And, I don't know.
Cannabis like
Probably
Jimi Hendrix.
depends on the genetics, but
It
I'm a big
likes-
natural wines fan. So
okay.
I think they're really. I mean, you're right. It's all vibrational, right? And if you can get full expression from your child or a plant, through a vibrational transmission, then I say barrel.
So, but what are you going to play?
Great question. Now I have to really figure it out because I didn't consider the vibration aspect. I was just thinking parenthood themed songs that fit the genre that I approve of.
No.
You know, Paul Simon's Father and Daughter, you know, even though he's a boy,
I hear you,
whatever.
but no.
Okay.
You'd be going wrong there.
Vibrations.
Yeah.
Vibrations.
Yeah.
I would, if I was you, if I was having a son, I would put on DJ Paul Fisher on the ride home the whole time.
Please don't.
Raise a psychopath. Speaking of vibrations, I did see a story at one point, a news story about Adele hitting those vibes that elicit emotion and even tears. So, you know, people listen to her music and they're moved by it, but this study was saying that no, it's actually the tones that she's hitting with her voice are activating something physiologically. Right. And so you could sub out the words as long as it's hitting the same tones. Mm-hmm. And so whether Adele and her people knew that or they were actually, you know, you don't even have to speak English. You could listen to Adele's music and you start crying.
Right.
And missing
it's just like when you get the goosebumps, right? When you hear music, that it allows you another layer of an ability to emote. And it really does, we as humans and all of our complexity. I mean, that's why music is such a great sensory
Peter
experience.
King, Kelly Slater, Rob Machado, the Surfers.
What was their hit? Can you think of one of their songs?
I don't think so, but I think you could download. What about Chris Cote's band, Cut You Up?
No on all of them. I did buy Kelly that the Surfers album.
You're going to be a great dad.
Thank you. The fact that we're even considering the music proves that we're going to be good parents. All right. Well, this has been an informative, educational
show. Can I promote sports management real quick? Of
course.
Sportsmanagementmastermind.com. We have a 10% discount, and the code is BeachGrit.
Nice.
So please sign up. I would love to see you and help develop your child's phenomenal.
What are the dates again?
The first one is October 26th.
Okay. In person or online?
It's online.
Perfect.
Yep.
Makes it easy for everybody.
Do it from everywhere.
All right, then. Chaz.
Awesome.
Well, by the way, we're at Album Surfboards, and I forgot at the beginning of the show to say Matt Parker from Album is hosting a surf trip.
Where?
In the Maldives.
Right now?
No, it's coming up soon. I don't have the dates on me.
Can we go?
No, you and I cannot, but there are spots available. Actually, you can go if you want to pay for it.
Yeah, how much?
I don't know. I didn't look at the price. Said it's there's 1 or 2 spots available, but Josh Kerr is going. So you get surf coaching from Josh Kerr in the Maldives.
That sounds fun.
So pretty amazing.
Is Sierra going too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't ask. But they do have a couple of spots available. Niyama is I think the resort. It's niyama.com. You can access this. We'll post it on
How do you find?
How do you find what?
How do you find how to sign up for the
niyama.com. The link is long, but if you go there, you can navigate to it on their website. The trip, by the way, is November 7th.
Great.
Yes, Sierra Kerr will be there, and it's all Album surfboards as well.
Awesome.
So a pretty amazing deal.
I'm taking an album to the wave pool tomorrow.
Sure is.
Are you going?
Yeah.
You're going to surf it?
Surf Ranch.
You guys got time? You actually get time in the pool?
Yep.
Yeah.
2 days even.
Good for you guys. Why? How? Who's pulling this together?
It's a natural selection trip.
Oh,
and
epic.
Hosted by Michael Schwab.
Epic.
Yep.
Awesome.
Big fun.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll look forward to the stories on Beach Grit about that, Chaz. Until next week.
Get barrel.